In this video, we're talking about installing QView, getting and installing it to be precise. This video is part of our 5-part series on QView, and obviously we're on the second one here. So how do we get QView and how do we install it? Well, if you've already installed Quincy, you've already got it, whether you know it or not. We'll show you where to find it. But we're also going to consider the prospect that you don't yet have Quincy on your system or that you're using a remote, a server-based version of Quincy, so you'll need to download QView. So let me show you the various places that QView is. The first place, we're going to assume you're on your server that has Quincy on it, which is the case I have here. Here's my Quincy server. Here's my Quincy dongle. In this case, you can find Quincy actually in the directory into which you installed your Quincy server. So let me open up my File Explorer, go to there, Program Files, Access Data, Forensics Tools, 7.2, bin, and then we should find something here that says qviewinstall. Right, double click on that, and you should have qview_qviewexe. Now, if I run this is actually an installer. It will go ahead and install QView as you would expect from the name. But the other cool thing about this is if you're an administrator and and you don't want to force your users to download this, you just want to put it on their desktops, you can just copy this onto their desktops and then run it on their desktops and it will work. They don't need to go through any special process. This is all they need. Drop it on their desktop and they'll be good to go. The other thing to note is that although I'm using a version here that has only one QView, that's half a gig, we will very shortly split this into two. So I suspect by the time you're watching this video, there'll be two files here. One that has the full installer, which will be this size, and one that has a much smaller one, primarily geared towards people that are going to be downloading this application off of the web. And they need something that's less heavy. There's a lot in this, and you can learn about what's in this in the modes video. In the QView series, there's a modes video, but a lot of it doesn't really pertain to typical QView user, the typical reviewer. So we'll have another one here, and again, the same thing will apply to the other one. You can just click it and it will run. You can copy it onto people's desktops and it will run. You can copy it to some shared directory and they can all just pull it off of that. All easy peasy. So that's place number one where you can get it. Number two is in the tool itself. There is a download for it in the grid, and there is a download for it in the viewer. Let's open a case so we can see both of those. Some of the right-click menus aren't available unless you have a case open. And I think that might be the case here for QView, so that's why I'm just proactively opening a case. Now we're just going to right-click here, and we're going to go down to our QView menu item. And you can see there's open and there's download. Download is the choice we would want here, and it would allow us to copy QView onto our desktop, and then we would then run it same as we would have had somebody just copied it onto our desktop. The other place to get it is here in the viewer. Let's see. All right, right click, QView, download. Again, it'll do the exact same thing. So those are the two places you can get it. And here, let me just quickly start one. It gives you this message, please run the QView installer, which means it's going to download it and you need to run it. Click OK, and it will begin that download. There it is. Well, sure, I'll wait for it to finish. It's so crazy quick, and then you can see it's just a simple installer. Okay, it's done. Obviously, I fast forwarded through the download process. Show in folder, and you can see there it is. Same program we were looking at before, same size, all that kind of goodness. I'm not going to run it from here. I want to show you the last place you can find it, and that is on the FTP site. Well, let me do it this way. Let's just scroll down here and I'll show you. For those of you who haven't ever bothered to look, there's FTP information right here, and you can log into this FTP. Now this has got, I call it beta credentials. It is in fact beta, so you have to be careful of anything you download from here. But most of the time you will find the qview installer here, and you can see this was published with a release, so this one's a good one. I say it's published with a release because you can see the release date is May 23rd, and this is May 24th, so it's going to be a solid one. But if you see a significantly different date, then you probably should just default to the one you have with you. Anyway, this is just available, use it or not, at your own discretion. All right, so now let's go ahead and install it from any one of the various places that we talked about. I'm just going to go ahead into this one, and I'm just going to double click on it. And it's a really simple install, no different than installing any product, frankly. So you can see it's extracting the MSI, which is the installer. There are several components it installs here. Okay, we get our normal installation wizard screen. Just click Next, accept the license, Next. I'm going to just accept the defaults here. Oh, this is an important thing. Quincy allows automatic updating. So if you want to utilize that feature, you have to select a path where you're going to put the updates when you download them. In this case, I'm just going to ignore this and just go ahead and install. Mind you, it's worth noticing if you saw that the qview folder here just got laid down, and I just saw it pop up. So this is where it's installing. That's in that bin folder, 7.2 bin location, which is again actually an interesting point. If you ultimately uninstall your Quincy, if you're in a desktop environment and you uninstall Quincy, it will remove qview as well. If, however, you're on you're not utilizing the same machine that has the Quincy server on it, it will create its own folders, and you don't need to worry about that. All right, it's finished. It was just that easy. Click Finish. And then we go, and there's our qview icon. If we double click on it, it will launch. And there are several different ways to launch qview for what it's worth, but obviously we're just going to double click on this one. There you go. It took a little bit, but it's up and running, and it's going to ask us. It's going to ask us to log in here. Yep, and let's talk about this for a quick second. We explore this in other videos as well. There are 3 different modes or 4 different modes of Quincy. This is the login mode, if you will, where you can fire up Quincy without actually having fired up qview. Excuse me, you can fire up qview without having already fired up Quincy. In that case, you need to enter your username, your password for Quincy, and enter the server name. So in this case, my server name for Quincy is, let's find it. I don't know it off the top of my head. It's this one. I'm going to copy that. Do that. Oh, excuse me, like that. And then my user in this case is administrator. And then my password is, I've changed it, but I changed it to the standard one. So hold on, let me go find it here. Desktop. I changed it to this, so let's just go ahead and use this. And log in. And boom, it logged in successfully. We should see the one case we have access to, the demo case, and we can select on that, and that will pull up items in our grid, and then we can start. But there are videos that take you through this stuff. So anyway, that's getting and installing QView. Hopefully that was helpful.